As a servant to the people of Queensland and Australia, I want to talk about the Murray-Darling Basin Plan because there's a looming disaster along the Murray River, and I have a simple, immediate request of the Minister for Water Resources for immediate relief. The recent massive demonstration of thousands of rural people on the banks of the Murray at Tocumwal shows the community galvanising against the Murray-Darling Basin Plan and the Murray-Darling Basin Authority. When entire communities mobilise in these numbers, it is beholden on Parliament here to listen to the communities with a lived experience that stands in stark contrast to the pampered conditions that the failed plan's authors enjoy. Before examining what thousands of community members are saying, here's my background on the Murray-Darling Basin Plan. I first learned of this disaster from councillors on the Balonne Shire Council at St George in southwestern Queensland. I saw the social and economic devastation in Dirranbandi and learned it's severe in New South Wales, northern New South Wales. Pauline and I then listened to people in southern New South Wales, northern Victoria and South Australia during our bus tour along the Murray right to the mouth. I recently flew over the entire Murray-Darling Basin and listened to people in select communities. We have scheduled to listen to communities more closely on the ground in coming weeks. Now, I prepared this speech for the Senate, although after it rose early, I'll deliver it now. The Murray-Darling Basin Authority is sending more water down the upper Murray River than the river can physically handle. The high volume of water leaving the Hume Dam on its way to the mouth down to South Australia is eroding the top of the riverbank where flows seldom reach. This is pulling dirt and sand into the middle of the river. In this way, the authority is making the upper Murray River wider and shallower. This is nuts. To make matters worse, some of this debris is being trapped at the Barmer Choke, where the river narrows, reducing the capacity of the choke from 10 gigalitres a day to just 8 gigalitres a day. Yet the authority, listen to this, is trying to force 70 gigalitres through the choke, 9 times its capacity. Now, this volume of water is flooding the Barmer and Millawa forests. These forests have an ecosystem that has evolved to thrive on being flooded through the spring when the snowy mountain snow melts in the warmer weather. The authority is now sending environmental flows, so-called environmental flows, through the choke in autumn and winter, flooding the forests and suffocating native red gum forests that cannot handle being submerged at that time of year. The Murray-Darling Basin Authority is causing permanent environmental devastation of native forests and riverbanks. And I have seen the kilometre after kilometre of dead trees from the air myself. Now, the locals are actually heartbroken at this destruction of their beautiful region. A destruction that would not have happened if the authority had listened to people's concerns when designing the plan. The locals know about this. This issue is not about farmers versus the environment, as the Greens have painted it for political benefit. This issue is communities defending the environment against bureaucrats that have no idea what they're doing because they're driving a Greens ideology. In reality, this disaster, this conflict is about communities versus government. That's the real issue, communities versus government. So let me move on to the topic of high security water. High security water is an allocation for permanent plantings such as fruit trees and for town water. As such, it's never allowed to be carried over from year to year because a fresh allocation is provided each year, and that allocation is sufficient for people's needs. It is the first water supplied even in a drought. Why then is South Australia being allowed to carry over unused high security water, preventing communities further up the river from getting their allocation, indeed from getting no water? You know why the community at Tocumwal threw an effigy of Minister Littleproud into the river? They wanted to see if it would make it all the way down to South Australia, just like their water does, season after season after season. Now, I could talk about the need to get water into southern New South Wales and northern Victoria now, but that water is already there. Yes, it's there. It's sitting in the Hume Dam, which is half full, and the Dartmouth Dam, which is 2/3 full, even before the spring snow thaws fill it up. People are stunned to know that the biggest holder of water right now is, can you guess? The biggest holder of water right now is the federal government. Worse, through holding this water out of the market, the federal government is driving the prices of water to levels so high that even Minister Littleproud has called an Australian Competition and Consumer Commission investigation, the ACCC. These ruinous water prices are destroying communities and killing whole regions. Locals are expecting a substantial water inflow into these dams this spring from the huge amount of snow that has fallen across the snowy mountains this winter. Snow everywhere, record amounts of snow, ready to thaw and fill the Murray dams to 100% capacity. There's a truth missing from the Murray-Darling Basin debate. It is this: we don't need rain to break a drought. Snow works as well. Communities are protesting because people can read snowfalls. People can read dam levels. People know the dams will soon be full from the snowmelt. People know they should be getting full water allocations, yet instead their water is kept in the dam for environmental flows, so-called environmental flows by the Murray-Darling Basin Authority. The same flows that are gouging out the banks while flooding and killing the forests. There are crops in the ground right now across southern New South Wales and northern Victoria that will fail. They will fail unless water is released from the Hume and Dartmouth dams within the next 2 weeks. Just 200 gigalitres of this 3,000 or more gigalitres, that's just around a measly 5 to 7% of current reserves. That would irrigate 400,000 hectares of wheat at 5 tonnes per hectare. That's 1 million tonnes of wheat, 1 million tonnes of food grain that we are currently importing from Canada. Australia, we cannot even feed ourselves because the Greens are driving this insanity and dishonest Murray-Darling Basin plan. Greens ideology is killing forests, killing rivers, killing fish and stopping farmers. The Murray-Darling Basin plan is sending farmers broke, while water is being retained in reserves that are about to be brought up to 100% capacity. Well, may people throw effigies into the river, because rural communities will not survive this bloody-mindedness and the callous incompetence from the Murray-Darling Basin Authority. Now, I recently flew over the Murray from the Hume to the real mouth of the Murray at Murray Bridge. The lower river is overflowing. It's literally bursting its banks. All the farm dams in the area were full from recent rains that have continued even after my trip. So let's look at what effect that has on water allocations for regular irrigated crops in the following irrigation areas. Let's consider New South Wales and Victoria. Along the Murray, 0% allocation, 0. Murrumbidgee, 6% allocation. Lower Darling, 0% allocation, 0. Lachlan, Namoy, Peel, Guida valleys, 0% allocation, 0. And now let's look at South Australia. Dairy, 100%, full allocation. Stock, 100%, full allocation. Cropping, 74%, 3/4 of the full allocation. Can you see the problem yet? We're sending entire communities broke in Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria, while South Australia is swimming in the stuff, literally swimming in it. The lower lakes are full, the lower Murray is full. No wonder some people are really calling these flows recreational flows to South Australia, while other communities are dying. One more point that I beg us all to think about. Planting new crops is expensive. It costs farmers a lot of money, time and effort. And often, farmers have to take out a loan for the huge cash cost. Without water, there'll be no crops to harvest and banks will foreclose. To put food in our supermarkets across cities and across our entire nation, farmers take risks. financial risk, dairy farmers for our milk, grain farmers for our cereals and breads, cattle and sheep farmers for our meat, horticulturalists for our fruit, veggies and nuts. These people are risking their future livelihoods for us. So I call on the Murray-Darling Basin Authority to immediately release 200 gigalitres for disaster relief. And I call on the government to tell the truth. Be honest with the people.